Hello. You have tuned into The Ties That Bind, a family meeting. And let's see, we grew up with many races, creeds, and cultures, because I had to think about how to come about this, so you all would know where our brains are. And I felt when I left my parents' house, I discovered the America I grew up knowing, it didn't even exist. And I had to think about it. It was because our parents didn't want us to endure what they had endured. So therefore, they surrounded us in this America. And as we grew up, we started learning that, hey, this is not it. And so tonight, the topic that we're discussing tonight is called, what is it? I had to think about it. It's called code switching. And it's trying to navigate in this white America that we're growing up in right now. And I want to go ahead and introduce our co-hosts, James and Tiffany. And Tiffany is going to spearhead this topic. And I had a lot more to say, but if I start talking, I'm going to say a whole lot more. And so I'm going to turn that over to them, and then we can go from that point forward.
Sure. What's going on, everybody?
Yes.
I'm James. I'm known as the Bridge, and I'm here to use myself as a tool to bridge the gap between the difference we have in our families and also in our communities. I believe that one day we will see that our problems are more the same than different, that way we can finally come together and do something about it. Tiffany?
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So good evening, family. This is Tiffany, and I am coming to you today to try and help to rebuild our family, starting with the family unit, and then strengthen our family so that we can move that strength out to the community at large. Thank you for joining us. And with that being said, today we're going to be talking about code switching. So code switching, that's a huge topic. My husband and I talked about it a little bit. I've been watching, reading about it all day, watching videos all day, just trying to, like an appetizer to get my mind going. So I just wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on what code switching is. Paula, you coming from the older generation, the generation before ours, what does that mean to you when you heard it for the first time? And James, what does that mean to you hearing it, being a part of my generation?
Go ahead, Paula. Hello?
I think she might be having some technical problems. So James, go ahead and take it, and then when she comes back in, she can give her idea.
Sure, absolutely. When I hear of code switching, and actually understanding what the definition of the word is, I see the things that I had to go through growing up. And what I mean by that is coming up in a pretty mixed neighborhood for the most part, but it's also on that side of town that is really racist, like really segregated in a sense, and you see a lot of racism going on. Right. So whenever I was to go to school, there's literally no bathrooms that I can go into that I didn't see a stick figure with a rope tied around his neck with the word nigger written up under it. Mm-hmm. Right? Not one. Any man's bathroom. If I go to Walmart, you see the same thing. Any bathroom at school, I see the same thing. So this kind of plays a role with your psyche and how you feel about yourself, and also how you would how you want other people to see you outside of what you think they already see you as, right? Mm-hmm. Which is somebody who was once a slave at one point, and you feel like they don't see you as anything better than that, right? So when you have to code switch like that, you really go into different areas of your life. Whether it's school, you got one way that you talk to your friends. Mm-hmm. And in my case, you got your white friends and you got your black friends. Mm-hmm. So you have one way that you might have to speak to your white friends because they don't know your culture like that in a sense, right. and you don't want to feel like you're that N-word that you see written on the wall right? So you might change up a little bit. And then when you with your friends, you gotta put on a whole other demeanor. Because I have friends that are in the streets. I had friends. I also had friends that were smart too, but the culture that I grew up in was more of a street type of culture. The street culture was
not to say that your street friends aren't smart either, because they all had their talents and gifts. They might have just been misguided and focusing in the wrong direction with their gifts.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was that street culture was the main thing, was where our culture was pretty much guided, and that style, that lifestyle was praised within our community. Everybody wanted to be a thug, right? So you have two different. For me, it was two different ways I had to speak to the white friends, to my black friends. A different way I had to speak to my teachers, and also when I come home, it was a totally different way that I had to speak to my parents. So it really affected me, and it's almost like you're 4 or 5 different people, and you got to display these characters throughout the day, every day.
It's funny that you use the word character and not characteristic, because that's it's very very telling of the mindset that you have to be in as a young black person in general, just trying to survive in all these different environments that we're forced to interact in. It's kind of crazy.
Well, you can say that, but it's different from a male perspective than it is from our perspective. And I apologize. I'm just coming back in because my thing just hung up on me. So, but yeah, and I agree with what you're saying, but I'm hearing what James is saying, because in my mind, it's very hard for us to see what the black man goes through.
Right.
So,
and I'm not taking that away from him.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, but I'm agreeing with what you're saying too. But when he called it the street culture, he's talking about something totally different, because they're expecting you to act a certain way as a black man. They want you to. We'll talk about that on the second part of it. But that is something because I mostly was around the men. Because women are, that's a totally different situation. But women are something to behold. When women are not something to play with, I'm telling you. And so I just found myself either being by myself or I had male friends. Then and then at a certain point, you all cease to be friends anymore, because they're looking at you in another manner. So that's the story too. But I didn't want to cut you off, but I wanted to spearhead on piggyback on what James has said. But go ahead. I wanted you all to know that I was here.
Okay, yeah, we heard you. We heard you when you came back in. I just wanted to give a little bit of a background on how James and I grew up during the high school years. So we grew up. We went to a school that was fairly diverse for the area that we were living in. There were. Of course, everyone thinks in terms of black and white. There were black people and white people, but there were also a good amount of Hispanics. There were Native American. It was a fairly mixed environment, considering the city and the town that we were in. Now, the town that we lived in had annual Klan rallies right down the middle of Main Street. So even though our school was very diverse, our school was very diverse, it was still in a very, very segregated and racist area, if that makes any sense.
Right. Right.
Now, our street
that's the first time I've heard you say that, but go ahead.
Well, it was just kind of like a thing. Like, it was just, the sky was blue, the grass was green.
Yeah.
It was a Klan rally every year. It was just part of it.
You got KKK marching downtown. That's okay.
It was just a part of life where we lived. It wasn't really something that I don't think we really gave it a whole lot of thought. It was just how it was.
Wow.
But like I said, our individual street that we lived on was fairly diverse.
Yes. It was very diverse.
Well, I would say fairly. It was a fair representation. Like, the school and our neighborhood looked about the same. But once you left our neighborhood or left the school grounds, like I said, there was Klan rallies annually, and you couldn't go certain places, and you had to be careful and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Wow, that's really scary. But you know what? And can I say, I don't want to interrupt you on that. And
no, go ahead.
because Daddy told me, it's like I remember Daddy telling me that he had friends. He had some Caucasian friends. And he said he worked for this white guy. And he said one day they would have Klan rallies every week. And he said, and this day they decided to take their hoods off. And he looked over and winked at him. And I'm just like, Daddy, he's just like, that was just something that we endured. That's what we had to do. And I'm just like, oh, hell. And I'm just like, that is too much. When you said that just, God, you did a mind shift on me right then. I didn't even think about it. You all had gone through that. That's something you all never talked about.
Well, because like I said, I mean, like the sky was blue, the grass was green, and the Klan rode through town once a year. It's just what it was. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was I don't want to cut you off, but I just want to try to keep our focus. So the rules, when I talk about the rules of code switching, it's funny because the rules exist, but they're not spoken. They're not written rules, and they're not spoken rules, but it's kind of an understood thing that when you're working in an environment that's racially mixed, it's assumed and expected that everyone's going to assimilate to white culture and use standard English and make them the majority as comfortable as possible, because there's this idea, whether it's real or imagined, and that's for a topic for another day, that we are a threat in our natural state. If we talk the way we normally talk and use the vocabulary that we normally use, if we dress the way we would dress at home, that is considered threatening.
But it is. I didn't realize that either. That they do see that as a threat.
Well, okay, like I said, real or imagined, whatever the experience is, the perception is that us and our natural quote-unquote habits are as a threat. So like Jane said, no matter what arena you are in, it's like every arena has a different set of rules. When you're with your black friends, when you're with your white friends, when you're with your Hispanic friends, when you're with your church friends, when you're with your work friends, the rules change depending on the environment that you're in. And it's funny because when you look at who it is that's expected to switch, no one else is expected to fit into this puzzle piece but us. We're the ones that are expected to, quote-unquote, tone down our language, quote-unquote, tone down our manner of speech, quote-unquote, tone down our hair, our dress. And I say quote-unquote because how do you tone down, who you are as a being?
Who you are. Well, it's not just us, though, in a manner of speaking, because even with the Hispanics, I remember when I had, like I said, once I left my parents' house, I didn't realize that people were treating me in a manner that how they respected my parents. I don't know how to put that. They knew my parents. They knew my dad, and I know my dad was he would pull a gun on if he wasn't gonna fight you. I saw him do that one time. One time I saw him. Somebody did something. It scared me because it was something I had came and told him, and I was crying. And I do the Layla thing. It's just, I didn't know. I think that at that point I realized how I was affecting him, and so I was always cautious about what I said to him. He went in, and I heard the drawer open. I saw, and I went around the corner. I looked. I saw him put his bullets in his gun, and he put it, and he went down there. Oh, I know what it was. I had gone to school. And I was working, you know how you do the summer job thing? And I'm not getting off the topic. I hope I'm not. We did a summer job thing, and because we grew up with white people, we grew up with Middle Eastern people. I mean, they literally came to our house. And so it was just something that we did. It was, you knew that you had to deal with the black folks calling you an Oreo and all this stuff. That was just something from grade school. You knew that was going to happen. But I was in, my mom had set it up for us to, because she felt like we needed to find a job. And I'm just like, I'm not trying to hear that. But because my dad had taught us so much, and we went to take the test, and with the government, you have to take this test to see how intelligent you are and what job you're going to be in. And so I ended up working for the principal. Well, I came to work one day, and my dad had changed the tires, and he had told me he was going to change the tires. I didn't pay attention. These are things I didn't pay attention to because I knew my dad was going to do it. And I almost called his name. I'm not going to call his name. No, I'm not going to do that. And so I went to school, and he told me, he said, Paula, do you know your tires are a little slick in the back and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I said, no. I said, I didn't know that. And he's just like, yeah, you don't want to, I'm sure your dad wouldn't want you to walk around, because I know I wouldn't want you to walk around, to ride around like that. And so he said, let me see whether they're any good. He said, give me your keys. Then paying attention to it, he came back in. He said, yeah, I'm not going to let you drive home like that. But he didn't know that I lived around the corner from the school, and I'm just like, okay. And so he took the car when he brought it back, because I knew I had my dad believed in stuff matching. Like now, all I want are black tires on my car. My dad, it was a white car, and so he had put white. They had tires. I don't know what they have them now. White, the way you can do a white stripe around the tires. So when he brought them back, they had black tires on them. Just like, okay. He said, I took them down there, and I got the guy to put some more tires on there. I'm just like, oh hell. And I didn't think about it. I said, okay, well, thank you. I said, well. He said, oh, no, don't worry about it. He was trying to be fresh. And I didn't realize that he was trying to be fresh. And I didn't. So at this point, I'm going into myself, because that's a scary thing to me. So I got quiet. And so when I drove home, I'm just like, I'm going in my mind trying to figure out the story I'm going to tell Dad, and my dad, how the tires got. And I said, maybe he won't pay attention to it, By the time I got in the house, I don't know where my dad, I don't know how he creeped around. He did. By the time I got to my room, because that was my thing, I went to my room and I just closed the door. He said, you bought some more tires? I said, at this point, I don't know what to say. I'm just like, Mr. McDonald, shoot. He put some tires on there. He said because he was like, he did what? I said, well, I didn't know, Dad. I said, and I'm making up these stories. I saw him go in this drawer, go and get his gun, because I didn't think about he was trying to be fresh with me. And when he got back, those tires were gone, and he said, don't you ever. And I was just like, oh my God. And that was the last time I did that. But these are things that you don't pay attention to. I don't know why I brought that subject up. We were talking about something, but that was. I think that was the first time I saw my dad really get angry to the point where he would pull his gun. Now he always taught us how to use the gun. If something happened, we knew where they were, and that kind of stuff. But I've never seen him angry enough to do that. And so,
well, I think as related to code switching, I think that. Because he grew up in a different time, even than what we grew, than where you grew up and where we grew up, and it was a lot more dangerous for him to confront a man like that. So I think him understanding the situation that you were in, that particular scenario doesn't really pertain to code switching, but him understanding the threat of him going to approach another man about his daughter. That's where he's having to, kind of speak the language that he knows this guy is going to be understanding when he gets where he's going, because he knows.
Oh wow, I didn't thought about that.
Yeah, because his granddad, he was never one to mix words with nobody, but you always knew exactly you always knew exactly what he meant. He didn't. He was spared. He might give you 3, 4, 5 words, but you knew exactly what he meant when he said it.
And he wasn't gonna repeat
it. Too.
Yes, right. Yes, and it was, that's for sure.
So that was him. As it relates to code switching, that's him understanding the arena that he was in and understanding that he wasn't going to be able to just go up, shake this man's hand, and be like, "Hey, look, leave my daughter alone," because it could end up in him being lynched somewhere. So
oh God, if I had known it was going to be that, I didn't think about that was some dangerous stuff at that point. I didn't think about it. I was just scared. I was scared because he was mad at me. Yeah, that's okay. I'm not going to keep going. Go ahead.
Well, so I mean,
that does something to me.
No, I mean, it's because when you're looking at this memory, from this perspective of the child, but when you look at it as an adult, right, and you look at it and you kind of separate yourself from the situation, you can look at it differently.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's talk about who's expected to switch. So we already know that when we're in mixed parties, we're expected to switch, but There's an example. I don't know if you guys watch Insecure, the show that comes on. I think it's an HBO show. Is it HBO or Showtime? HBO, I think it is. Insecure with Issa Rae. It's a great. If you haven't watched the series, I recommend it. It's a great series. She does. They're only 30-minute episodes, but they are really, really impactful. And there is an organization in the previous couple seasons that she worked for, and the organization. Don't give me the line what the name of the organization is, but basically they would go into inner city schools and help teach. It was like an after school program, help teach kids so they can help them get ahead in class or catch up if they need to catch up. And she was pretty much the black face in the group. It was a bunch of I think there was one Indian girl and maybe one Hispanic girl, but everybody else was white that was working in this organization. And
my daily life. Yeah.
They partnered her up with a Caucasian lady to go to their inner city school to work with those kids. And she became the minority, which obviously rattled her to her core. And in order to try to relate, she started trying to, quote unquote, code switch. So the funny thing is, when we see that, the first thing that comes out of our mouths is, oh, she's a culture vulture. So what is the difference, and why is there a difference?
I don't even know what a culture vulture is.
I've never heard of a vulture. So to give you an example, are you familiar with Kylie Jenner? One of the Kardashian younger sisters.
Yeah, any one of them. Yeah.
Well, one of them did a commercial. It was during the whole riots after Trayvon Martin. It may have been. I might be getting the timeline mixed up. But after that, Pepsi ran an ad where they basically, all these people, all different races, young people, were standing up against the police. And she had on cornrows, which they have renamed boxer braids, right? So basically, being a culture vulture is when, they take something out of our culture and try to rebrand it like it's theirs. And that's what it means when they say culture vulture. So why is it considered becoming a culture vulture? And, what's the difference? What is the difference between us code switching to survive and then being a culture vulture? Go ahead.
Well, I think one of the main things is perspective, right? And I think the way that we're raised up, the way the society is, right? I honestly think a lot of black people see that, and they think in their mind, maybe subconsciously, like, well, why would you want to stoop this low to act like us, whatever, when you already have a dominant culture?
Right.
So I think it really offends a lot of people. I don't even think it offends them. I just think that they see it as strange. Like, look, this world here in America is already made for you. So why would you even want to do what we do? Why would you want to have what we have? Just to try to fit in with us, when you know what I'm saying, you see what's going on with us. You see how our culture gets treated. You see how our people get treated. So I think it's a lot of feeling about black folks in general not really seeing themselves as equal. Because I don't think it'd be a problem. Yeah, I mean, you can't in this society. You're right. You can't in this society, and I think that's what a lot of black folks get upset. Like, yo, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, you're not black. You don't have to go through these struggles. You know what I'm saying? You got a better culture. Well, why are you even trying to do that? So that's my thoughts. And as far as them doing it, and I can't really speak on their side, but the way our culture is brought up, I think they feel like it's a cool culture. They want to have the things that we have. They want to act the way that we act. Because I guess how we always take things ourselves and we kind of switch it around and make it cool. So I think they like that fact that we're like that. So that's all I have to say about that.
Well,
go ahead, Paula.
I'm sorry. No, there is, how do I say this? Now this is from the definition that you gave for a vulture culture. I think I'm pronouncing it right. This is where I draw the line. Is you trying to mimic the way you think I talk, you know. And you can always tell they're trying to talk about a African American or a black person, and they'll start this ignorant talking. I'm just like, what the fuck? What are you? I'm sorry, forgive me for cursing. I'm just like, what are you? I said, because they were saying something I had said, but to let them know that they were talking about me, they went into this dialogue, this diatribe, and I'm just like, I said, and that's supposed to be me? I said, you have never heard me speak in that manner. I said, we weren't raised to speak like that. I said, as black people are just as diverse in color, skin tone, as we are in our language, the way we speak and the way we talk about things. And I think that because we do things and we make it wanted, and then they don't want what we have to go through to the reason that we speak in the manner that we speak sometimes, the reason we react in the way that we react, the way we do things. They don't want that part of it. I remember hearing somebody say, where somebody said, it was one of the preachers, I can't remember, I think it may have been Bishop Jakes. Somebody told him that they couldn't wait to get to the point to where he is. He said, but they don't know the struggle that I had to go through to get to where I am. And so I remember I was and James had met them when he came to Dallas, and I liked them. They were really cool white people. But Chris Rock had did this little thing, and I was listening to it, and it was really funny. And I'm going to say this, and because we say it, doesn't mean that you can say it, the N-word. And he was just like, he said something about, he said, black people, he said, we are racist too. He said, we could be a part of the Ku Klux Klan. He said, because we hate niggas too. And he said, niggas, he said, he made the difference. He was going by what the dictionary said the GR part said it was ignorant, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. So he was going by that definition. He said, and you go to the N-word and you would say, what's the word? And you tell them, what's the capital of Uganda? We'll just make up a country. I can't remember what country he had said. And he said, you don't know that. I'm trying to keep it real. He said, yeah, you're keeping it real dumb. And the way he did it, he said it, and it was really funny. And I'm crying, laughing, because Chris Rock is funny. And she was like, she said, I want to take this home to my husband. And so I was just like, yeah. So she came back the next day. And it was so funny when he was saying about the N-word. Now, he had talked about the whole thing, but they started focusing because they wanted to say it. I said, now, Sheri,
don't lose your mind.
Don't lose your mind, Sheri. Yes, and now you all get out there in the public and you say something like that, so you're gonna get your ass beat. I said now, but I know that. I said you may say it around your white people. I said that's fine. I said, but saying that even with the GR or the GA, I said, okay, how you say it, that's not the way they're gonna take it. I said, I'm laughing with you about it. I said, but that's not something you do. You don't do that. And so that to me is, and I guess she didn't understand that. And so I had to bring it down to her a little longer. I said, I'm going to take that back from you. I said, now you can go and look it up for yourself. I said, don't tell anybody I gave that to you. I said, and please don't repeat that. I said, because I said, even hearing you say that in a funny way that Chris said it, I said, it does something to me. I said, so don't do that. I said, coming from a white person saying that is something totally different. And I guess that's their way of code shifting. They want to do that, but you better not.
Right. Because the wounds are too deep. But when you're talking about that,
too deep.
That word,
they're too deep, and they're still open. You can't do that. And so, but I remember because we grew up the way that we grew up. I thought I got my college degree. I knew I tested out of most of my classes because of the way our dad made us go and start reading and doing things. We had so many encyclopedias and so much stuff. But when I started, I remember when I in Dallas, they just see you as being a black person, and they're not even going to offer you a certain. I remember after my first job out of school, this was when I was in Alabama, and this is the best boss I ever had. But yes, he was racist, but he didn't know he was racist. I said, Jim, you can't say that. I said, you are racist. I said, you said, no, I'm saying. He was telling me about a dream he had. He said, what we need to do is we need to put walls up so that people over there stay over there. And the Trump thing, this was years ago. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, my God. I said, Jim, please don't. I said, you are being racist. I said, don't say that. I said, that was just your mind doing whatever he had to do. And he said, no, I'm not being racist. He said, let me tell you, you know how you got this job? I said, because you hired me. I said, that's what I thought. And he said, yes. He said, because you were the most qualified, intelligent person that came through. I didn't look at the fact that you were black or that you were what you were. I said, okay, black or green or something. He said, I said, well, there are no green people, so we can't just not say that. And so he said, well, and I kept saying, I said, and I'm trying to get what you're trying to say. He said, I'm saying this because when you came over and you gave me your resume, and I told them I wanted to hire you, he said, you know what the woman told me on the phone? I just want you to know now she is a black person. He said, I know she was black. I interviewed her. No, he said, when I saw your resume, I told them I wanted to interview you. And that you're the person that I wanted to have there. And she said, now I just want you to know, I don't know whether you know this or whether you want to have this, but she's black. And he says, I don't care what color she is, blah, 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 blah. He said, now, if I was racist, I would have never had you in my job. I said, Jim, I love you to death. I said, but for the mere fact that you didn't say that up until now, I said, what if you had been? I said, and I appreciate everything that you've done. But these are things they're having to shape shift with their own people because they looked at him in a totally different manner because not only was I black working for him, I was the first face you saw coming in that place. And when they did, when they had to have classes, I was one of the ones who were teaching the classes. And I remember hearing one of the white guys say, and I've heard somebody say this before, he said, we got into something about this woman. I won't go into the whole story. And I was just like, I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, you're just being racist. I'm not trying to hear that. We tolerate you people. I was just like, you tolerate me. I said, what are you?
You people. That's another word for that's
the N word.
The N-word. Yeah. But I want to try to pull us back to the conversation, if I may. Getting back to what James was saying about culture vultures, I think one of the reasons why it's so offensive is because they want to wear our culture like a costume.
Right.
But they don't want that life. Yeah. It's like what Paul Mooney said. Everybody wants to be one, but don't nobody want to be one. They want our music, they want our look, they want our style, they want all that.
But they don't
want
to have to go through what we went through.
Because on some level, whether they acknowledge it or not, they know the struggle that we go through. They know it exists, but they benefit. So if you're eating good from the system that's in place, why would you want to change it?
Right.
So it's kind of easy to understand why they pretend like they don't see it, but I guess when the roles are reversed, they get really lost in that whole.
Well, but Caucasians will not see what they want to not see. I remember they were arguing about the black kids driving around with their radios too loud, and I sat there. I saw this with my own eyes, and this white guy kid was coming through, and they just assumed that he was black because the music was so loud coming out the car. And the moment they saw he was a Caucasian kid, they all turned their head and just got quiet and said nothing. So it's like, oh, okay.
Well, it's not what in America it is a white thing, but it's not just a white thing. It's a majority thing. When you have the power, when you have because that is the definition of racism. When you have the power, why would you?
I guess so.
why would you, if the system that's in place gives you every advantage, it's not hard to understand when you think of human nature why they don't want things to change. And so that's why they pretend like they don't see it. They pretend like they don't see it because they know the system advantages them. They're not blind to it. They just are pretending because they have the advantage and they can.
Yeah, they lie. They know. Yeah. They know.
So, what is at stake? So, when it comes to us African Americans, Black people, people of color in general, trying to make it in corporate America, one of the comments that I put down was assimilate or die. And what I meant by that was, in order to be successful in today's, white corporate America, it's like you have to grasp code switching, because if you don't, you will not make it. You won't go past a certain point. It's very, very hard to get. Go ahead, James.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh.
No, I'm saying you're exactly right, and that stems across all cultures that come here. Because you see everybody does it. You see Asian people come over here and they do the same thing. They pretty much lose their culture when they come over here. Everybody loses their culture when they come over here, for the most part.
But they want you to. They really want you to. They go.
Yeah, of course. Of course, they want you to.
Of course, they want you to because they have the advantage. Because then takes the advantage away from them.
Right.
Exactly. It's their system. So if you try to change that, then it's going to change the whole dynamic of how this system works. So you have to, whenever you come here, you're going to lose your culture. Like I see a lot of people that come here from other countries, and usually the first generation that's born here, whenever they leave their country, they act totally different. They have to assimilate to this culture. Or else, like Tiffany said, you're going to die. You're not going to make it, because they're not going to have any other style coming here trying to dominate. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen because whenever people come to this, even though they might have their own culture to go back to, right? But when you're dealing with white America, whenever you're in the workplace, you have to assimilate to their style of play, period. Or you're not going to play at all.
Right. Exactly.
Well,
you have to.
But we can say that, but it's not about you trying to come up. It's a threat with you doing anything that's out. They filmed somebody. This is recent. This guy was in, and I've heard, and this is not the first time I've heard this. I know when I had I'm going to tell you what happened. This white guy, some Hispanics were in the store. They were not even talking to him. They did not work there. They were talking to each other. He goes up to them like it's his place to tell them, speak English. You're here. You can do so-and-so, so-and-so. And people are saying that it's because of Trump. Yeah, Trump makes it, he's stirring it up. But when I was in Dallas, I worked, and I was the manager there, and the manager that was over me had come in one day, and I was working for this hotel, and she says, they had the maids there, they were talking over the walkie-talkie, and they were speaking Spanish. And she said, and you know what I want you to do when you go and have a meeting with them today? I want you to tell them they can't talk over the walkie-talkie unless they're speaking English. Tell them no speaking any Spanish. And I said, I'm not telling them that. I said, you tell them that. I said, you knew when you hired them that they did not speak English or their first languages was Spanish. I said, how do I go to them and tell them you don't speak Spanish? And that is, they feel offended. I think they feel less than because somebody else has a culture and they don't. I don't get it. And we still haven't found out what it is that you were saying. Bring your tired and you're hungry and all this stuff, but you feel, what is the word? You feel like you're being attacked or something because somebody speaks another language? Get out of here.
It still stems with power. Yeah, it is racism, but it stems with power. Because the more people you bring over here to build this country up, I mean, it's going to do just that. It's going to build the country up. So they fly people out from all over the place to build this country up for whatever knowledge they might have. And most of the time, those people, when they get here, they don't go back home. They stay here because they're going to continue to build this system, right? So, but on the other hand, they still have to learn how to acclimate themselves to the people that are already here. Period.
They get what they want.
You know what I'm saying? They like you said, and I heard this the other day, just like what you said. I heard it at my job. I work with government people, right? Yeah. I had a bunch of guys speaking Spanish, probably from somewhere, maybe like Panama or something like that. And there's one white guy walked into the table. Was like, look, we're in America. You need to speak English. You know, he came at them like that. You know,
it's so funny.
And
it's so funny because what we forget about as Americans in general is that America is not just the United States. America is Canada. It's the United States of America. It's Mexico. It's Brazil. All those places are part of America. It's all America. But, you know, the United States has become so arrogant that when they hear America, they think of only themselves. And when I say themselves, I'm talking about just white Americans. Because even the foreign countries, when they refer to Americans, they're not talking about all of us. They're just talking about white people.
Yeah, they're talking about white people, yes.
But then again, you know, we're kind of straying away from race relations is, you know, one thing, but I don't want to stray too far away from the code switching topic. What I want to talk about next is the cost of code switching and when you forget the code for where you're at. How many times have you heard someone, Paula actually said this word earlier, and it kind of made me tingle because I'm like, we're getting to it. We're getting to this. This is the good part. How many people, how many times have you heard your peers in other groups say that you're talking white?
Yeah.
By speaking standard English, they say you're talking white. Or Paula said the key word, the same, Danielle said it a couple of weeks ago. Her friend called her an Oreo because you're black on the white side and you're white in the middle. How many times have you heard that you're talking white or you're not talking black?
Yeah. I hear it all the time. And I don't know. And they literally look at you differently. They think that you're trying to. They think it's like you're trying to be something else. I am the blackest person there is. I am. When I say black, we go to color. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about I fight for every cause, and you can't tell me that you're gonna think that I'm selling out, because that's really what they're trying to say, that you're selling out. You're a sellout.
Exactly what they're saying. I was watching a video. These young men were talking about code switching, and it was maybe like a 30-year-old guy, 35 years old, talking to a guy that was like 20, 21, and he asked him, like, what does it mean to you when you say you're talking black? And he's like, you use slang, or you try to sound cool, this, that, and the other thing. He's like you're talking white. And he's like, I resent that because I am a black person. I'm a black man, and I speak like this. So I'm talking black because I'm a black man and I'm speaking. There's no, there's no right way to talk in order to be considered black.
Exactly.
But it's a sad state. It's kind of like that crabs in a bucket thing where people hear you speaking standard, quote unquote, standard English, and they think that you think that you're better. And it's like, I'm speaking the language that I was taught.
Yes.
We went to school for this.
Because we grew up here.
Why is it a problem for me to speak proper English? I don't understand that. So I found myself when I was learning how to, code switching is something that you start picking up gradually in your grade school years. And by the time you're a teenager, you're pretty much proficient and you understand the rules of the game. And so when, as I was starting to come of age or whatever, I basically, I used to call it being bilingual, not realizing that's what I was doing. Because if you don't, even within our culture, if you don't assimilate, you will die there too. Because our people will kill each other if you don't play by our home rules.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just like I don't know if you ever seen the movie Sorry to Bother You.
I don't think
Real funny movie is about Lakis Stanfield, the one guy that played in Get Out, the first dude that got kidnapped or whatever.
I remember. I didn't know what you're talking about. I didn't watch it, but I did see that it's kind of a new movie.
Yeah, it's kind of a new movie. It's kind of a new movie, but he was a guy that worked on telephones, and he used to call people, try to sell products, right? And then he had one of his coworkers that was sitting right beside him. These are both two black guys. Coworker sitting right beside him, Danny Glover, right? He's like, well, you know what you got to do? He said, you got to start using your white voice on the phone, right? And then he started calling people and practicing his white voice, and he started making all these different sales within his job because he was trying to use his white voice. It's a funny movie. I mean, the movie takes a further turn after that, but it was just that part right there that kind of reminded me of it. He had to use his white voice just to get by at work, So that was funny.
Yeah, you really do. Yeah, I mean, and that is, but with me, I guess I'm a linguistic person. I can tell. I don't care how proper you speak or I can tell by your voice what race you are. And even with, and I know I was telling you, Tiffany, something, and I was just like, I said, you all have that creamy voice. I said, but I know your voice every time I hear it. But it's that Native American sound that's in your voice. It's something. It's that Native American, African American thing that's there, and you can. You don't. I think it's just like if we stop seeing the outward of us and start seeing who and what we're actually encountering, and it doesn't matter how well they speak or. Because I remember I grew up with folks saying, "Oh, she speaks so well." It's what? Okay, I can count too.
Right,
I mean, whatever.
Right.
What are you saying? Yeah. But you have seen that but we grew up, and I don't know whether they were. My dad was all about education, and if you're gonna speak the word, you speak the word. And stop acting like you don't know anything. Stop acting like a nigga. Yeah, just because what they meant by that was you're acting like a slave with the way that master wanted you to sound. It's one thing we sounded like that because we didn't know the language when you brought us here, and a lot of things was broken English, and they'll make it seem like they were ignorant, but they weren't. And so we have to. A lot of this is. You can know who you got to know who you are, and you can do that when you get out there because most of the my Hispanic friends, even I had a very good, and if I saw him today, we would probably go back to just being really good friends. And he was from Iran, and he spoke perfect English, but guess what? He kept his culture. He was what he was. And he would do that around other people. He would let me in because he knew that I got him, but he would never allow his culture to be taken away. And the thing that I'm finding is that with us, we have forgotten our culture. It's one thing to sound, because you can go to Great Britain and you really don't know who you're talking to. I went over there, and I have been doing business with this guy for almost 6 months, and because I only talked to him on the phone, and we passed back and forth, contracts and stuff. When I got over there, they all sound the same. I don't want to sound just like anybody.
I'm curious about that because we actually have an aunt on our father's side that she's been living in Europe for. I don't know, something like 15, 16 years, maybe longer than that. And she, when she's with us, she sounds like us, but she also can speak with a very perfect British accent. And I wonder if that exists over there, where it's almost like you're bilingual. Because do black people speak differently when they're around each other in Europe and other European countries, like we do here?
They sure do. They sure do. They still use slang. They still use slang there. I know for a fact.
They still use slang.
Well, it's not just slang. It's not just slang. It's like the way that we speak, like the way that we say certain words. Almost like I call it a black scent. Like, do they have a black scent over there?
Yeah, because when Jeffrey was here, he could speak a perfect King James British accent, but when he got around his friends, whatever language they spoke, he spoke it. Mm-hmm. So it's just, you did that it wasn't him losing his culture, it was him being able to...
I don't think you understand what I mean. I'm talking about...
No, not culture, just how they switch it up.
Yeah, they do.
I mean... Go ahead.
So my answer to that is yes.
Speaking a different language, I'm talking about black people that are in, let's say, in the UK anywhere, black people that are in the UK that are born in the UK that are not from other countries, like maybe different countries in Africa. I'm talking about people that were actually born and raised in the UK, so just like we're born and raised here in America. Do they have what I call, quote unquote, a black accent like we do?
Yes, because a lot of them, when they're speaking to them, they still have like strong roots. I want to say it's like the West Indies in a sense, so they kind of speak in that manner. Even the Africans that are there kind of speak, and it kind of sounds like they're Jamaican in a sense, you know. So
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I say they do. Yeah, they have that black culture, and then they have the I guess Caucasian or the dominant culture that's also there in the UK, where they switch it up, or they have to, you know, switch up their mannerisms in a sense to speak to different people there. Yeah.
Yeah, because they laugh different.
That's funny.
They really do.
I've never been in a European country. I've only been. I've been in other countries, but never been in a European country. So, or like a British country, I guess is what I meant to say. So I guess I just never experienced us in that environment, except for our like I said.
Yeah, it's like that because everywhere you go, where I guess Europeans are dominant, you're going to have that subculture, which is normally the black culture, and then they, of course, they do everything totally different as far as how they speak, because just like here, you know, they didn't get the same education coming up, so you really don't have a choice but to speak a certain way when you get around your family, even if it's in English. You know, you're going to have different slangs that you're going to use, and then whenever you're out there in the world, you know, you still have to, in a sense, straighten up. So yeah, it happens there. But I do have one question though. So as far as women are concerned, when they wear weave or anything like that, would that still be considered code switching in a sense?
So
I think so.
I think so.
And I'm glad you said that because I was going to send you all a video of how I saw this. Go ahead. Tiffany, I'm go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Tiff.
I do think so, because until very, 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 very recently, now that the natural hair quote unquote movement has caught on a lot more, and now it's becoming almost more common to see natural hair than relaxed hair. Before that was the case, if you had anything other than perm, but relaxed straight hair, you kind of were looked at funny. Unless you had that quote unquote swimmer hair, which is basically black people hair that you can get wet and it won't nap up. So I would say yes. When it comes to women wearing their hair a certain way was a form of code switching, but I do think the culture is changing as the culture is becoming a little bit more accepting, and black women are becoming more self-aware and not accepting anything other than you accepting me for who I am, if that makes any sense. My military experience, they tried to make a regulation that, black women couldn't have their hair in braids and cornrows and like all this traditionally black hairstyles. They tried to ban them. They did for like almost 2 years. So you can call it a protest. You can call it me not knowing what to do with my hair. I just started wearing my hair in an afro. Because if you don't want me to wear it in braids or cornrows or whatever, then okay, then I'm going to have an afro. And it caused a lot of issues for me. Can you guys hear me? You both got really quiet.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I pressed mute. I'm sorry. I'm thinking I'm talking.
But yeah, it definitely is a form of code switching, or it can be a form of code switching for black women.
I think what I've learned is, how do I say this? The darker skinned black women do not want to be want you to see their hair natural. And because we put such a stigma, they don't want to be stigmatized by the hair. And then you got to be stigmatized by your skin color, which is that skin color is so beautiful. And it's only from a place of where people knew who you were, and they had to break that down in you, because I won't even go there. I don't want to go into another subject. But I have found that once you start to, because they're always so inquisitive about your hair, and they want to touch it, and they want to do all that kind of stuff, and it's just like, instead of just saying, don't put your hands in my hair. I don't want you to put your hands in my hair. But I have found that certain people, when they want to look more Caucasian, they either will put on wigs, don wigs. I was going to record this and send it to you all this week. I was watching a Judge Mathis show. I don't know which show it was. The woman came on there, head full of weaves, but she looked like she had a beautiful face. Why she had it on, I don't know. But then her roots were nappy. And I'm just like, okay, do you not think that people can't see? And I hate that word nappy. God forgive me. Her hair was fuzzy, and I'm just like, can you not see? No, do you not know that people can see the difference in where your hair begins and the weave starts? But it was what and it's not like she just started, because it was all greasy and stuff, and so that meant that she had it in there for a bit, and she just wanted, because she was darker complected. That's what made her feel like she was more accepting. And and then I was talking to my aunt the other day. I love her to death, and this is just her race. And I don't want her, if she hears this, I don't want her to think that I'm talking about her. But her thing was, we were talking about something, and she said, but you always had, I said, I cut my hair. I said, I cut my hair because you all made me feel like because I had a head full of hair and I had long hair, and it goes from being long, and then, oh, wait a minute, you good hair. And I was just like, I said, I remember my mom saying, who are you? You want to cut your hair off? So when I got to college, I did. I cut it because I felt like, okay, then now how are you gonna see me? You know? And I said, so don't get upset with her because she cut her hair off. I said, because you all put too much emphasis on our hair. And I said, and to a certain point, it was almost as though my hair, as I gotten older, my hair texture has changed. And I could wash it or get it wet, and I could still brush it back and do what I had to do. But then they thought that was good hair. There's no good hair. It's just that your hair does something different than anybody else's hair. And but it makes you want to get into that point that you want to assimilate, because they're trying to make it seem like you're better than somebody else. And I didn't know your mom felt that way. She said they only did that. She said, I wanted to be in Aunt Odessa's wedding. I said, she said, but they didn't allow me to be in her wedding because they only let you be in her wedding because of your hair. And I was just like, what? I said, that's a very deep topic that I think we need to. I think we owe it to ourselves to do a show just on hair. Chris Rock did a movie called Good Hair. But if you haven't seen it, it's an older movie now. I think it's like, I want to say maybe 10 years or so old, maybe even a little older than that. If you haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend it. Because it was an eye opener for me the first time I saw it. And even I think the first time I saw it, I don't think I was natural yet. And then I saw it again after I was natural, and it was like I saw it in a whole different light after seeing it again, being natural. And I hate that term, being natural. But okay, whatever. That's another topic for another day. But you're right. I know, but that don't mean that you got to wear it raggedy. You still
topic for another day. another topic for another day. Like I don't want to get too deep down the rabbit hole on that. But it is, to answer your question, James, yes, I do think that the way black women, it doesn't matter if it's a light-skinned black woman or dark-skinned black woman. I think, especially when you look at cultural things like hip-hop and stuff like that, they try to make themselves look as close to being either European or racially ambiguous as possible. And, it's surprising in places like Georgia where, that's like the black Mecca. Everybody's got a weave down to their butt, and it's all straight wavy or Brazilian. And it's like, that's not you. Right. What are you doing? But
what are you doing?
The short answer is yes, I do think that code switching, when it comes to, I think that hair can be a code switch for women.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And it's just... to put it out there and not have a topic to talk about it. I know we don't have a whole lot of time to talk about it, but it's a very sensitive topic, but it needs to be spoken about.
Yeah,
it needs
I think
to be.
So too.
It needs to be. We need to. It's not. Going back to what your mom had said. It wasn't about. I didn't think that it was because of my hair. I thought it was because I was the youngest one. I was like 3 or 4 years old, looking like I was 5 or 6. Yeah, that's how my mom changed my age all the time. I was tall, but it was because I was younger. And that's what the flower girl was, the younger person. But you have to. But in our family, hair and skin color were top of the line. It does just who and what you were. And so, you're right. This is we going down the rabbit hole because this really is too deep to start talking about. But I can't believe you even brought that up, James. You said.
I want to get both sides. I just want to get all sides.
Yeah, but we need to talk about this a little bit further. That's what I'm talking about. We need to talk about a little bit more.
But just not today.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, so because y'all got me in a quandary right here. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. But yes.
Oh, hey, write it down, and we can add it to the playlist.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I agree.
Having said that, we really do need to wrap it up. We're getting close to our hour mark. So I hate this part of the conversation when we have to stop because this is one of those things where we would sit up all night, but we don't have all night. So with that said, I'll go ahead and I'll do my closing piece and then I'll pass it off to you guys. So thank you, family, for joining us. I hope that we were able to open your eyes about some few things and give you some things to chew on. I hope that this conversation was enlightening and thought-provoking for you. And give us your opinion. Tell us what you think. If you follow us on Podbean, you'll see there's a comment section. Put a comment together. Tell us what you think so we can that we can engage with you. You also can email us if you look us up on Ties That Bind. If you look at our picture, click on any one of our pictures, it'll take you directly to tiesthatbind.com. Click on any one of our pictures, and it'll take you directly to an email link so that you can email us.
Yes.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Yes. I agree.
Right. Well,
Mr. James.
Well, yes. Well, in this life, we are taught many things, but I challenge you to find what matters most, and that's narcissism. Know your past so you can operate in the present to secure the future that you always dreamed of. Thank you, family.
Exactly. And I would say I'm not going to talk because, I'm the talker. Got the bridge, got the strategizer. The strategizers are taking us to help us on the line here because I could be talking for forever. But my goal for this is for us to have honest and open communication with one another. And we don't have to always agree, but we want to there's a scripture in the Bible that says that we reason with each other. We reason with each other. You don't have to, but if what I'm telling you is the truth, then you can look it up, you can find it, you can find it out for yourself. And so that was our goal, to let you know where we are, where we were last week, what our goal is. Our goal is for us to have an open honest communication with each other, and that we can be one, and we can actually be a family. That doesn't mean that we're all going to get along all the time, and that we're all going to live in the same house. That doesn't what a family. We can love one another as God tells us to love each other. And to that, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to say, due to everyone, that we love you and we thank you for spending this hour with us, and we will speak with you soon. And be blessed.